Through Team Silent, Konami Computer Entertainment had successfully produced a trilogy of survival horror games, and had created a new brand with a dedicated fanbase awaiting the next sequel. But while the name was now being marketed through more ads, merchandising, and comic books, this unfortunately wasn't enough to attract new followers, or even keep the ones that they had acquired. Sales figures revealed that each sequel was getting only half as many units sold as the previous game, meaning that business-wise, Silent Hill was failing. On the other hand, creativity didn't stop its flow, as Team Silent continued to find new ways to innovate the psychological horror experience, while maintaining the dark, twisted, mature style the games had been known for. Regardless, the team would go under one last reshuffling of its staff. Though the initial concept for the new game was about 2 years old by this time, the development cycle would continue to make it a very different and distinct game altogether. What was originally meant to be at the most a loose spin-off or a spiritual successor to Silent Hill would now officially be rebranded as the 4th installment of the series. A very different development team would work on the game. Longtime key members would be absent this time around, most notably producer Gozo Kitao, writer Hiroyuki Iwako, and artist Masahiro Ito. The project would be placed in the hands of Suguru Murakoshi, who had previously worked on Silent Hill 2. Taking on directing and writing, Murakoshi was specifically excited in bringing a completely different take on the premise of the series, with a plot that would need heavy deciphering in order to fully comprehend. Part of this deciphering would be accomplished through the possibility of being able to explore some of the environments for the very first time in first-person perspective. Also, for the first time, the story would not take place in the town of its namesake, instead being set in the neighboring town of Ashfield. Team Silent veteran Masahi Tsuboyama returned to oversee the creature and game design, with Naomi Hara designing the main cast of characters. Also returning to the series was Akahiro Imamura as a sub-producer, while Akira Yamaoka would once more serve as producer, sound designer, and composer. Mary Elizabeth McGlynn and Joe Ramersa continued to contribute vocals to the songs of the soundtrack. This new direction for the series was met with certain optimism, as it was considered to be a new beginning for the franchise. According to Yamaoka, this would be the beginning of a second season, with new themes to be explored and the possibility to kick off a whole new trilogy of games. But by then it was becoming clear that Konami's focus was moving away from the survival horror series in favor of more widely popular titles like Metal Gear Solid and Dance Dance Revolution. Silent Hill 4: The Room was released simultaneously for the Sony PlayStation 2 and the Xbox on June 17, 2004 in Japan, September 7th in North America, and September 17th in Europe. A PC port was released later that year. Ashfield is a city located some distance south from the eerie town of Silent Hill. In the southern half of the city lies an apartment building, whose residents have had a number of strange occurrences happen to them. Henry Townsend is currently one of those residents, and after waking up from several nightmares, finds himself trapped. The front door is chained from the inside, with no way to escape. Windows are sealed shut. No one can enter, and no one can exit. Even people standing directly in front of the door can't hear anything coming from within. Henry is helpless within room 302.
What the hell? What's going on here?
Oh man. Hope my luck changes before the party.
5 days pass when suddenly Henry is alarmed by a loud sound coming from the bathroom.
What the hell? Somebody in there? I wonder if I can wait this way.
The opening in the wall appears to be his only way to escape. Armed with only a steel pipe, Henry ventures into the unknown through the decrepit tunnel. In what can neither be dream or reality, Henry enters what appears to be the South Ashfield subway station.
What the hell?
The area seems to be normal, with the exception of being completely empty, except for a single person, that is.
Who are you? What's your name?
Henry. And you?
This is my dream, and you don't even know my name.
Cynthia Velasquez is convinced that this is a dream she's having, and that Henry seems to be part of it. Despite believing this, she asks Henry to help her find a way out, promising to reward him if he does.
It's just a dream, so I might as well have some fun. Wait a minute.
But they're separated shortly after, when Cynthia gets sick all of a sudden.
I think I'm gonna puke.
It's then that Henry finds himself face to face with the first horrors from this nightmare. Henry retreats into the bathrooms to search for Cynthia, but instead finds an opening in the wall, similar to the one he had come through earlier.
Another dream? Or could it be? Was I really inside that woman's dream?
Henry awakens as if it was all just a dream.
Oh, that's just stupid. What am I thinking?
He still finds himself trapped within the walls of his own apartment, without anyone able to hear him. Small occurrences and a cryptic message lead him to discover another weapon, and a voyeuristic hole in the wall that allows him to peer into his neighbor Eileen Galvin's bedroom.
that damn broom. Oh. There it is.
The phone begins to ring, and what Henry hears places doubts on whether or not what's happening is all just part of a fever dream.
Where did you go? Hurry! Save me!
Henry returns to the otherworld to face the creatures and save Cynthia, relying on nothing but the sinister sounds from the halls to warn him of the many dangers. Soon enough, Henry also has to take on threats in the form of ghosts that can't be stopped, complicating the rescue the further Henry goes into the station. But ultimately, the rescue comes too late.
It's just a dream, right? I think I drank too much last night. I never got to do that special favor for you. I feel like I'm dying.
Okay. It's just a dream.
To make matters worse now, Henry is at odds against an unseen enemy. This was reality now for him, and he had to figure out how to put an end to it all, alone.
Cynthia? Man, what's that noise out there?
Hurry up and get that ambulance. Quit yapping and move her already. Damn, she's got numbers carved into her chest. I wonder if...
Back in the apartment, Henry finds the very real aftermath of the murder, as well as a few more changes taking place, including pages from a mysterious diary that began to appear before the door. Neighbors have now become suspicious of the inhabitant in the room. especially Eileen Galvin.
There.
Help!
Hey, Richard, can you see anything from your window?
No. Everything looks pretty normal to me. The guy who lives here, what's he like anyway?
I know his name and face, but that's about it.
Well, I'm gonna go call the super.
Yeah, good idea.
Feeling more trapped than ever, Henry returns to the other world through the hole. Henry now finds himself fighting through a dark path within a forest, a completely different setting from the subway station, and one that isn't familiar to Henry at all. He comes across a strange rambling man by the name of Jasper Gein, who also finds himself trapped in the strange world, but seems more preoccupied with identifying the odd cult landmarks around him than actually escaping.
But I was the one who found the stone first. In the old days, the natives called it Nakihona. They used it in a ceremony for talking with their dead ancestors. And now those guys are using it too.
The ghosts remain persistent with their hauntings, chasing Henry to the boundaries of the woods, where he eventually discovers that he's actually in the outskirts of Silent Hill. The multiple paths end up leading to the Wish House Orphanage, where the cult known as the Order once manipulated the lives of children in attempts to awaken their god.
You're finally the third revelation. Something's gonna happen. That nosy guy that was here, he said it too. Finally, it's gonna happen!
Jasper wastes no time in rummaging through the abandoned house. But then, once more, the unseen threat claims another victim. It's a death that the cult fanatic Jasper seems to welcome.
I finally met him! The one the nosy guy talked about! The devil!
A special news report. In a forest near Silent Hill, the burned corpse of
Henry wakes up to find the news of Jasper's body being discovered, solidifying the fact that people were being killed in the real world. The numbers carved into their bodies mirror an incident happened years ago, where the murders all corresponded to a single name.
The Walter Sullivan case 10 years ago.
Are you in there, Henry?
Help me! There's something wrong with this room! Help!
Worried about her neighbor who hasn't been seen in a few days, Eileen has the building's landlord to come and open Henry's apartment.
What's going on here?
Unfortunately, the master key the landlord uses doesn't help with the locked door at all.
That's strange. That's the right key. I'm sure I heard something in there.
Another page of the red diary appears, revealing that the diary was kept by somebody fearing for their life. It had belonged to someone investigating the Walter Sullivan murders, and probably someone who also had found himself trapped within the walls of the apartment. The only option that Henry has now is to continue to go through the opening in his wall, looking for a way to escape and maybe stop the new series of murders happening. The setting this time is a prison, and Henry comes across a man locked up, quite possibly the next victim in this string of murders.
Walter's gonna kill me!
The tower prison itself is a huge multi-level structure, winding around prison cells, leaking walls, and leeches. And now Henry is also forced to confront a new set of horrors appearing through the halls of the prison. Once free, the man is found talking to a boy and makes a startling revelation to Henry.
Who is that boy? And who are you?
His name's Walter. Walter Sullivan. I used to work at the orphanage watching the kids. They tried to make it seem like an orphanage, but according to that town's holy scriptures, it was actually the center of their religion. And that kid Walter, he was really into that mumbo-jumbo. Especially that descent of the Holy Mother business. Oh, God. Oh my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
While searching for a way out, Henry once more discovers a body, Andrew DeSalvo's body, with the familiar markings carved into his skin. Everything seems to indicate the murders are being carried out by Walter Sullivan again. But with him having died many years ago, it seemed unlikely and impossible. Strange sounds begin to fill the rooms of Henry's apartment, while Sunderland is still attempting to figure out what's going on from the outside.
Well, I just tried to open it up, but it looks like something's blocking it from the inside. Anyway, it's not the first time.
You mean the guy who lived here before?
And it wasn't just him either. There's something wrong with his whole apartment.
Don't say that. You're scaring me.
One thing was now certain. The murders seemed to be linked to the people living in the apartment building, and possibly people who have some link to Walter Sullivan during his lifetime. Henry travels back through the hall.
Ouch! Damn it. Where the hell am I? You're a real person.
In what appears to be a warped version of the building across the street from his own, Henry quickly comes across another person in this new nightmare.
I'm Richard Braintree, from 207. What the hell's happened to us? That hole in this freaky world. But if you're here too, then there must be something wrong with the whole apartment building. That must explain what happened to that other guy too.
What other guy?
The guy who lived in 302 before you. A journalist. He disappeared one day. He got pretty crazy towards the end. Shut himself up in his room and wouldn't come out. Anyway, I'm getting the hell out of here. You should too, if you know what's good for you.
The monsters and ghosts return to make Henry's search for an escape more difficult than ever. His path crosses briefly with Richard Braintree, who seems to have caught up with the mysterious boy.
Say, you look a lot like a little punk that I once caught sneaking around there. Do you know something about what's going on? Hey, you! Stop!
When Henry manages to reach Braintree, it's once again too late. The boy was proving to be a harbinger of death, whether he was committing the murders or not. And now, by pointing to Henry's apartment building across the street, it was clear that death was still coming to the inhabitants. Henry now fears for Eileen's safety.
Looks like another one, Captain. Got 121 on his head. It's just like that case from 10 years ago. Yeah, that Walter Sullivan case. But Sullivan's dead. They even got the body.
The red diary pages reappear, giving insight on the Sullivan case and how the numbers found on the victims were being misinterpreted all this time. The third character in the sequence wasn't a number 1, but instead a slash. Richard Braintree had 19 of 21 carved into his forehead, making him the 19th out of 21 victims. But the author of the diary goes on to ponder why Walter is set on killing specifically these 21 people, and why he then proceeded to commit suicide after the first round of murders. Eileen is seen preparing herself to go out for a party that night, oblivious to what was going on and the danger she could be in. It's then that Henry is visited by a stranger. Henry enters the other world once more.
It looks like my apartment. But what the hell is this?
Henry finds himself within a hellish reimagining of his own apartment building, with what appears to be living organic walls. He then meets the strange man he saw earlier face to face.
I got this from Miss Galvin. A long time ago. She was younger than me back then. She looked so happy, holding her mother's hand. Here, I'll give it to you.
His search for Eileen takes him through several apartments, notably the former living spaces of the people who were murdered recently. Henry races through the rooms fighting creatures and the ghosts who have haunted him since the beginning, searching for a way to reach Eileen before it's too late. But it seems that no matter what Henry does, he cannot manage to save the people of South Ashfield in time.
Thanks. Did you find your mommy? This place? It's dangerous. You need to hurry.
out of here.
Awakening once more, Henry now finds the walls of his apartment being corrupted as he begins to lose hope.
So they took the victim to St. Jerome's.
Yeah, she's not gonna make it. She had numbers in her bag, too. Walter Sullivan copycat. Round 3, huh?
Well, they never got the scumbag behind round 2 a few years back. Maybe it's the same guy.
Oh, what if 1, 2, and 3? Oh, what if they're all the same guy?
What the hell are you talking about? You know Sullivan killed himself. The weird thing is, there were no clues. Crime scenes were always spotless. No fingerprints, no fibers, nothing. Just a number. 20121. I've been a cop for a long time, but I never seen a case like this one. It's almost like they were killed by a ghost or something.
Although the nature of the circumstances and the warp holes leading to the alternate worlds were still a mystery to him, Henry knew that the only possibility he had of surviving and maybe saving Eileen lied in his ability to travel through the holes in his apartment. Henry reaches the alternate St. Jerome's Hospital. Thanks to overhearing a conversation between some officers investigating Eileen's apartment, it seems that hope wasn't completely lost yet.
Eileen, relax!
Henry?
I don't know where to start. There was this strange hole in my room. I saw people getting killed. All these weird other worlds. And I saw you get attacked too.
What are you talking about? I'm supposed to believe that?
But it's true. And there was a kid with you.
I was getting ready to go to my friend's party. The boy protected me from the man with the coat. I'm sorry I didn't believe you. I guess there's something wrong with me. I just feel so scared.
Anyway, the only way out of here is through that hole.
Okay, take me with you.
After searching and battling his way through the hospital rooms, Henry finally reaches an injured Eileen, who has enough strength to be able to follow him out of the hospital. To Henry's dismay, he awakens in his apartment, as usual, but Eileen is now nowhere to be found. To make matters worse, the walls seem to be coming alive, and the items in the apartment seem to be undergoing possession. No closer to finding the answers he seeks, Henry returns to the other world, where he is then reunited with Eileen.
Henry.
Have you been here the whole time?
Yeah? And I didn't see any hole either. You just disappeared all of a sudden. I can't stay here by myself. I'll be cursed. I know it.
Together, they're now forced to traverse all the otherworld areas, fighting off the monsters and the phantoms Henry faced before. A quest made all the more difficult given Eileen's injured state and seemingly wavering sanity. The sinister-looking man returns to stalk them, attacking them at every opportunity.
Are you Walter Sullivan?
That's what everybody calls me, but I don't really have a name or a home either.
Well, what about a mom or dad?
Yeah, but I never met them. They left South Ashfield Heights right after I was born. But soon I'll get to see my mom.
Do you know where she is now?
Yeah, of course. Right where I was born. Lots of people tried to stop me, but it's fine now. It says in the scriptures that I'll be with her. I gotta hurry. Mom's waiting.
The mysterious man finally confronts the boy claiming to be Walter Sullivan, and the pieces of his plan begin to fall into place.
I'm going to see my mom. Stay out of my way. Who are you, anyway?
My name's Walter. Walter Sullivan. It's time to complete the 21 sacraments.
But that's my name. And what are the 21 sacraments?
Don't worry. You'll know soon enough. Well, let's go and see Mother.
Let me go, that hurts!
Damn. In order to finally escape, Henry and Eileen are forced to face one last trial. The guardian of the Mother, the one truth, an entity protecting the strange ritual that's nearing its completion. Henry and Eileen return to room 302, where they are now met with the only person who can help them stop the madness.
It's him.
Done well.
The ghost of Joseph Schreiber, victim 15 of 21, and a former occupant of room 302 who never managed to escape.
When he was a little boy, he began to believe that my apartment was actually his birth mother.
He tells them of Walter Sullivan and the series of killings perpetrated by him in order to carry out what the order called the 21 sacraments for the descent of the Holy Mother. First collecting 10 hearts, then sacrificing himself to perform the ritual of the Holy Assumption. This would allow him to carry out the rest of the murders in his own alternate nightmare reality, which were based on locations he had visited while still alive. Pleasant River, near Silent Hill's Toluca Lake, where he began his murders. South Ashfield Station, where a homeless young Walter panhandled to survive. The Wish House Orphanage, where he learned of the Order's rituals as a child. St. Jerome's Hospital, where he was taken to as a baby. And finally, room 302, his birthplace, and where his parents decided to abandon him shortly after birth. Walter's hope is to awaken his mother through the room, which according to the cult would open paradise. Joseph explains the importance of stopping Sullivan from completing his plan, which involves sacrificing Eileen and having her become the Mother Reborn. Sullivan would then proceed to murder Henry, which all this time was locked in his apartment by Walter in order for him to become the receiver of wisdom, the 21st sacrament. Joseph tells him that the only way Walter can be killed once and for all is to destroy his links to the real world, and his corpse hidden somewhere in the apartment, and the umbilical cable taken by the person who found him abandoned as a newborn.
Kill him. Kill her. Kill her. Kill her.
Henry discovers the grisly side of Walter Sullivan's crucified corpse, hidden behind a false wall surrounded by strange artifacts. Now Henry and Eileen must race to find the umbilical cord, as the building menaces both of them with all the evils unleashed by the ritual.
poor little boy. His parents just threw him away right after he was born. Poor thing. He really thinks that room 302 is his mother. I've gotta help him.
Upon returning to the apartment, they discover that Walter's corpse is mysteriously missing now. An opening has appeared below, leading to the unknown. This was most likely the final location of Walter. Henry and Eileen decide to give chase, knowing that they were about to pass the point of no return. Within Walter's final nightmare realm, Henry must confront the ghost of Sullivan one last time. But to kill him once and for all, he had to destroy the reanimated and transformed corpse, who has become the Conjurer. The physical manifestation of Walter Sullivan to be reborn deep within the woken mother, the room. Eileen's body is now fully possessed and walks towards a death machine, making Henry's final battle a race against time.
Final sign, the receiver of wisdom.
Walter is defeated and the ritual is stopped. Henry is now free.
thanks. Guess we'll have to find a new place to live, huh?
Silent Hill 4 has 3 alternate endings, depending on whether or not Eileen is saved, and the amount of hauntings cleared from the apartment. One ending has the paranormal takeover of the apartment building continuing without Walter, while another has the ritual being lifted at the cost of Eileen's life. And finally, in the last possible ending, Walter succeeds in completing the ritual of the 21 Sacraments. This is also the first Silent Hill game with no UFO ending. Of all the games released by Konami and developed by Team Silent, Silent Hill 4 is the most divisive entry, sometimes considered to be the black sheep of the series. While many consider this the strongest title of the early games, just as many consider it a misstep. The monster and the ghost designs are some of the best and most disturbing of the series, and the music was up to par with the creepiest compositions of the previous games, focusing more on unsettling ambience than melodies and hooks. The level designs were well received and helped convey the feeling of being trapped, but many fans weren't too keen on the more linear approach and the lack of an overworld such as the streets of Silent Hill. Praise was given to the innovative room exploration mechanics and the brief puzzle solving involved with them. The new, more limited management of items and weapons could prove troublesome for players of the previous games, but also added a layer of challenge more in tune to Resident Evil. The story itself has been viewed as either a great complex piece of storytelling or an overly convoluted mess, with the characters also being hit and miss. Henry is usually considered to be particularly a weak protagonist and is far from being a fan favorite. This isn't helped at all by some very bland voice acting overall. Years later, Akira Yamaoka himself would state his disliking of the character. The combat and controls were revamped and were more fluid this time around, though it suffers from slow response times and inaccurate attacks. And finally, the visuals and the settings oozed with creativity, but the graphics seemed to be less refined than the game that came before it. With many cutscenes not looking very good, either by design or by limitations. In more recent years, Silent Hill 4 has had a better reception from fans, and many will argue that it's the scariest game of the franchise, the only game to truly break the psychological horror mold successfully. But ultimately, despite being released across 2 major game platforms worldwide, the game sold less copies than its predecessor. To this day, Silent Hill 4 is the second lowest selling game of the series. This would be the end for Team Silent as the development team for Silent Hill. The group was split up and distributed to different departments within Konami. The series would move forward according to the company, but now the development of the games would be placed in new hands. Arguably, the franchise would never manage to hit the same highs achieved by Team Silent in those first 5 years of Silent Hill. Join us for the next episode, where we return to the town of Silent Hill to uncover its origins and the secrets behind the cult that started it all.